So yesterday when we left off, we stopped at second grade. Second grade was the year that I had Miss Vody for a teacher, and she was probably the oldest elementary school teacher I ever had. It seemed like she was definitely in her 70s, maybe her 80s. Who knows? Maybe she was only 60s. I don't know. She seemed old, to say the least. She seemed old. And in second grade, in Miss Bodie's class, I remember I got a retainer that year. And I think I also, might have been the year I got glasses or the year I committed to like wearing them all the time just because I needed to see better. The glasses I had back in the day were, before I got the transition sunglasses, I had the ones with the little bridge across that connected them. Just uber dork status. And I remember wearing those a lot more often. I think because it helped me on the playground playing handball and stuff. Oh, and I also remember we did dioramas that year. I remember doing a diorama, just a little shoebox scene. And I did a crocodile diorama, crocodilians. What else? I guess that was mostly what I remember from second grade was Miss Bodie, and that she didn't like me very much because I guess I hummed or I tapped or I was just the tiniest bit unfocused as a second grader, and I guess that didn't do well for her. And I was still playing soccer at that time, I'm sure. The next year in third grade, I had Mrs. Shoup, whom loved cows. I'm not sure why I remember that, but she had a thing for cows. She had cow designed stuff, mugs, and she would wear clothes with cow prints or cow designs on it. And I remember Garrett Morrison and I got into a beef that school year, and there was an issue where the subject of God came up, and I told someone I don't believe in God. I'm pretty sure it was Garrett that made fun of me, and I cried and went to Miss Shoup and said Garrett was making fun of me because I don't believe in God. I'm not sure why I said that, but I remember that part sticks out. And just, Garrett and I just picking at each other from across the room and making faces and throwing up hand signs and not getting along. And now I'm remembering that we both were in swim team at Cathedral Oaks Club, and from when I did swim, he was always, I think, my best competition. I was his best, and we would trade who would be first and who would be second a lot. And I forgot I swam. I got a whole box of swimming ribbons at my folks' house, and maybe it made my way to my house at this point. But I was a swimmer there for a few years, very early on. I want to say like, I don't know, before kindergarten up until maybe second grade or first grade. Maybe it wasn't that long. Maybe it was only 1 year, but long enough to enter competitions at the club and earn some ribbons. What else do I remember from third grade? Mrs. Shoup, Morris. That was pretty much it. You know, I always did really well in the jogathons also. I liked it. Probably because I was so fit from playing soccer for like going on 3-4 years at this point. And next year in fourth grade, I had my favorite, one of my favorite teachers of all time, definitely my favorite teacher in elementary school, Mr. Eisenberg, Dave Eisenberg, who, for all intents and purposes, was just he's just badass. He was super confident. He was like 42 years old, but he had married some woman that was like 28. And I think even then, even in 4th grade, a lot of us were just like, damn, that's pretty tight. He's a pimp. And Mr. E is what they called him. He was just, looking back now, he was just passionate about what he did. And it showed in the way that he taught. Because he had like fire in his eyes, and he wasn't afraid to, I guess, write on the walls, not just the chalkboard but the walls also. And then he just got so jacked up and excited about this lesson about, I don't know, some sort of numbers or times tables or something, but he was like, yeah, and he was writing stuff on the chalkboard, and he went off the chalkboard onto the cabinet and then onto the side of the wall, and we just lost it. We thought that was hilarious. He's probably said something, oh my god, I love this, and then he just took a bite of the chalk, and I don't think he chewed it or swallowed it, but he bit off a piece of chalk, and it was just, the shock value was awesome. And so he just entertained us for sure. I remember always thinking about, once I started entering the teaching realm and thinking about being a teacher, and it was clear you have to be entertaining, and some of the best teachers are the ones with stories, or they're entertaining in the way that they teach, and he definitely was. He was the best entertainer up until that point. And he was a super confident dude. And then I remember it was that year when I kind of started to get over and get better about not crying when I would make a mistake or answer something wrong. Because up until then, the first 4 years of school, I'm like a reasonably smart guy, and by that I mean I can just pay attention to what the teacher says and then remember it. But nobody remembers everything. So when I would raise my hand and get a question or an answer wrong, I would usually start to tear up and then cry. And I think I just didn't want to, couldn't handle the embarrassment of being wrong in front of my peers. And so that happened again in 4th grade with Mr. E. And one day it happened, and he just told me to, hey, grow up. Or he said, hey, suck it up. Or he said something to the effect of, you don't have to cry every time you're wrong, because you're going to be wrong a lot. And I've been wrong a lot. And it's okay. And that's just part of life. And that straightened me up right quick. And I'm not going to say I never cried ever after that, but I did it less and less. And I want to say by the time I was in 6th grade, I don't think that would ever happen. It didn't happen ever again. And it wasn't, I think I was just always, it was just like embarrassing, I think. Which makes you think, why, if you're embarrassed to say, to get an answer wrong, then it's got to be even more embarrassing that you cry. So it's like a double embarrassment. But I remember that vividly, he just told me to grow up or suck it up. And I had never just thought of that it was okay and to just get past it. So he'll always, be imprinted in my brain for just being a confident dude and being down to earth and accepting of mistakes, which everybody should be, which I think is an important thing to teach people. And so 4th grade was Mr. E, and remember we also would fill out these cards in the beginning of the year about the things you liked, my favorites. And remember I wrote, for my favorite foods, I wrote steak and popcorn, among other things. And I remember the day that he was reading characteristics from my card. I don't think anybody guessed it right away, or I mean, it's in a class you can just shoot and like try and just guess, not because you know someone, but because they're a person in your classroom. But I remember that too. And I want to say we did the Gold Rush that year also, with claim jumping and all this. That was a super fun unit too. You had a group of 3 other people with you, and you were like a mining camp, and you were trying to answer questions, and the more questions you got right, you would get like gold, or you could accumulate more gold and then jump a claim, and it was pretty cool. I remember that being a really fun year. And no, I'm not handling the summers as well as, but I guess my focus right now is just on my life as it revolves around some sort of schooling. Because the summers were always good. We would go, been to Hawaii a lot. My folks blessed us with taking us to Maui and then the Big Island a lot growing up. We would go to the lake. We would go camping. We would go to Hawaii for a big family trip, camping. We would do soccer tournaments and go to the water park in San Dimas, Raging Waters, with all the wild women and children. And there was no lack of fun in the summer, that's for sure. And also we would do camps, UCSB camp, sports and beach camp downtown, soccer camps, basketball camps. So we were pretty well taken care of in the summer, that's for sure, until we were not into the camps as much. But anyways, in 5th grade I had Mr. Wood, who was another good teacher, a little more reserved, a little bit older than Mr. E. And I always remembered in 5th grade with Mr. Wood, he drank coffee all day. It would be like the afternoon. We'd come back from like science lab or something, and he would meet us back in class, and he'd have like a fresh cup of coffee. It seemed like he drank coffee all day, even into the afternoon. And I remember he had white hair and he jogged a lot, and I don't remember anything bad from that year, but I just remember it was good. I think he was just, 5th grade's kind of a tough grade, and coming from a year where we got just built up so much, and this personality of Mr. E thrown in our face hard, it was a nice, looking back now, it was a nice little recharge coming back down to earth with Mr. Wood, and kind of, I guess, giving you an insight into not everybody is as charismatic as Dave was. And then 6th grade, my teacher was Miss Thompson, and she was great too. Miss Thompson had a haircut that was going sideways, but it was like the design, like how a skunk's hair is black and white, but hers went sideways. And she said the front part of her hair was white and the back part, well, 2/3 were black. She said it started going like that when she was 13 years old, and we just thought that was interesting. And I remember this year also was the year that Kurt Cobain killed himself, because we did a like who, what, where, when, and why board at the end of the year, or at part of the year. And I also remember this was the year that OJ's trial was going on. Now we had a substitute that year, and we were listening to the verdict of the trial in class, and when we heard not guilty, a bunch of us were like, yes, which is funny because I don't think we even understood what we were cheering for, but I think when you're young, you just take a stance, and you just want to be right, I guess. So I need to take a break now, and I think we're gonna do more of 6th grade later, because there was a lot going on that year, and we'll talk about that later. Cheers.